And recently, in 2020, we have released this global survey report, and that's what I wanted to run through. It is a very holistic a report which has been much appreciated by the industry. Next slide. So what we are going to share in this report is typically what are the key findings from the different perspective. And there are some questions which we ask where we talked about where the IT lives. That means the workloads are how it is placed, whether on premise, on the cloud, or on the co-location aspect of it. We also talk about how the efficiency and the power density trends are going across the globe. Third is how the outages and resiliency of the data centers which we have observed last year, and what are the different challenges which data center industry is facing in this particular stuff. And that lastly, it will be followed by a QA. So if time permits, I would be able to address those questions in this. Next. So we have around 1,500 respondents to this survey, and this is just scattered across the globe and also scattered across the industry. Can you move to the next slide? So that talks about what is the percentage of the respondents across the globe and how industry verticalization or participation which is there, and what are the different role of people or hierarchy of people who are involved in this entire survey. So I think it is very uniform as far as overall sample or the respondents are concerned. And obviously, US, Europe has been around one fourth. Asia Pacific is approximately, if you club together, again around one third of Asia Pacific and Africa, Middle East. So whatever the details which you are going to get, it is going to be much relevant to almost all the countries or in this region too. Next. So the key findings I would like to share with you before I get into the detailed slides of it. So first, there has been a lot of thing which is asked whether uh, these on-premise data centers are getting closed or captive data centers are not. So the most of the respondents said yes, there has been a declination in on-premise data center, but it is not dead. So you will have the detailed slide where you can be able to know more in detail about it. Uh, Transparent clouds are good, and the cloud business is taking a shape from that perspective. So we have seen a lot of organizations moving to cloud, not so core applications, but at least all the support applications are being moved out. And in this part of the world, we see a lot of organizations following this hybrid IT strategy. When we talk about edge, obviously, when we talk about edge is for high volume of data storage and processing when it happens near the end user site at the time, and also you have got that level of bandwidth available. So edge is still not picked up yet, and we expect to pick up with the adaptation of AI, ML, and also implementation of 5G, which can be able to support this particular requirement. We see a lot of OTT things which is going up, but edge demand is still there, not there up to that extent the way the industry is expecting. Average site energy efficiency has flattened. We have been measuring energy efficiency since 2007, when the first measurement survey was done, it was around 2.5. And now we are talking about around flattering around 1.6. And this is there for last around 8-9 years. So there is no much difference. Rack deficiencies are rising and facilities are getting stretched, means the power density inside the rack is increasing. And earlier it used to be less than 5 kilowatt. Now it has become around 8 kilowatt, between 5 and 10 kilowatt. And there has been more high power density racks also percentages available. That will have a detailed slide, we can discuss about it. Hardware refreshes are less frequent. What we observed is earlier the hardware refresh was majorly of 3 years and few on 5 years. Now we are saying the hardware refresh more percentage are responded. The refreshment cycle is 5 years rather than 3 years. Uh, Water use in unmetered by many. So we have been observing that the water usage, even if we see a major challenge, not today, but maybe going forward, water scarcity, which a couple of cities in the world are already witnessing. However, as a data center is one of the industry which consumes a lot of water, and we have found more of the users, they have not been tracking how much water they are using so that they can improve on the water usage. Next slide. Bigger outages are more painful because what we have been seeing, and most of our friends might have observed in this different newspapers and articles, we have seen outages are becoming more and more. When we did last year's survey, it was around 30-35% outages were observed, and in this year's survey, more than 50% of organizations responded with the outage. And at the same time, we see the impact of the outages are increasing in the commercial as well as other forms. We call it severity levels. We'll talk more about it. Use of availability zones is now the mainstreams. So obviously, most of the organizations are having workloads in a different availability zone or zones. Some of them may be the co-location or on the cloud. In case of any disaster or issue happens in the primary site, they have facilities to run their business through other availability zones. Artificial intelligence, it has not, adaptability has not been so much yet. The way other organizations like internet giants like Facebook, Google, and those people are using it. However, we saw some level of AI being used for the organization on the dashboard basis, and also we see AI being used in the research organization where high compute applications are being used. However, there is a huge scope of AI and ML coming forward, because today we are in the world of man to machine communications. And with deployment of 5G, we are going to see a revolution of machine to machine communication. And that's what we are going to see a huge volume of increase in adaptation of artificial intelligence. Operators admit most of outages were their fault. So what we are trying to say is there has been outages, and most of the organizations, they try to hide and they don't try to publish. However, there are some outages which impacts the public services, and there you can't hide. But the good thing is that the organizations are not only trying to share but trying to introspect themselves and find out where these outages were. And then more than 75% of the respondents admit that we could have prevented these outages by doing something. Those outages could have been prevented. Data center staffing is in a crisis and it is getting worse on a day-to-day basis. As you know, the data center industry is growing, uh, and in our part of the world, we are talking about a GR of around 27% year-on-year basis. So, as compared to the global, which is around lower double-digit GR, 12% or so. So, comparatively, our growth rate is much higher. However, at the same time, what we found is there has been staffing scarcity in this part of the world, and specifically, I'm from India. I find a real crunch on the data center people available, and it is becoming a lot of challenges for organizations to retain staff at the same time find staff for their new roles, because if you are growing, you need more people to manage your show. And the last is we already have staffing crunch, and gender balancing is absolutely very less. I would say very low single digit versus high digit in the gender balancing part of it. Move to the next. So this is about where the IT lives. Move to the next. So we did a survey for where do we stand in 2020 and how do we see the trend to be changing when we move to 2022. And we see some growth in software as a service migration. So people are going to adapt more software as a service on cloud. And there has been, if you see the hosting aspect of it, it is almost flat from 20 to 2022. Public cloud, the share is going to increase drastically if you see from 8% to 12%. Co-location is almost constant. Why it is constant is because most of the cloud players, they are not building their own data centers and they are going to co-location part. So actually, if you see the overall growth, it is being shown in the public cloud, but that is impacting the co-location data center share also. Then we see a micro data center is going to continue with the same. There is no growth. Similar way, the server closets. However, we see a decline in the corporate or captive data centers, but still it is the major percentage of the overall data center share. So they are still more than 50% as compared to others. Move to the next. So when we talk about the adaptation of the public cloud and how it is, the whether, so even today, 52% of the people, they don't put the mission critical application on cloud. So there are two ways. One is their comfortability in terms of meeting their business requirements still by putting those core application on cloud, public cloud. And second is the platform adaptability to take care of such applications on cloud. Like I will just give you example like core banking. If you see across the globe, core banking are still run on different applications, maximum on a public cloud, not on the cloud. These applications are there running independently as a workloads. Then overall, if you see 17% of it, they are trying to get into this visibility of operational resiliency and trying to get into the cloud. 21% they don't want to get into the public cloud. So 52% and that 21%, but still for the core applications, we see a major kind of I would say resistance on the going on the cloud, and that's what we said. The cloud movement has become more for support applications, non-critical applications, and organizations are following hybrid strategy. Once the entire thing gets matured and they experience the overall resiliency and availability part of it, and that's what we in future we may see the critical loads going on public cloud. Move to the next slide. So we are talking about this edge demand we discussed. So if you see that edge demand today, they say 37% people say we don't need edge as of now. However, most of the percentages say that we may need in future these edge requirements, and the very few say somewhat or the no. So edge data centers are not data. There would be requirement, but not today. Maybe 3 years or 4 years down the line, once the environment becomes conducive and the real requirement comes from the users itself. Next. So this is all about efficiency and power density. Move to the next slide. This slide itself, the graph itself says where are we in terms of the PUE or data center efficiency. So we have already achieved a drastic improvement for last 10, 12 years on the PUE improvements. However, if you see for last 7 years, almost the PUE is flat, is fluctuating around 1.6 because the PUE is typically the power consumed by IT versus power you consumed from the utility. And the available technology and optimization of solution, whatever you could do on a data center. Less innovation of that infrastructure availability, and you move the last slide, not this one. Yeah. So due to which we are seeing the PUE is as flat. However, we have got huge scope in optimizing the IT aspect of it, because there has been a lot of inefficiency in the IT and how it is deployed and how it is utilized. We have a program called Efficient IT Program. We cover on that part of itself. Move to the next. This is a slide which talks about the average PUE for the different regions. And if you see, the lowest PUE is in Europe, and you know the real reason for it because of the ambient temperature outside. And the moderate temperature regions like our region, we talk about Africa or our Asia Pacific, it is flickering around 1.7 the PUE. So United States also you'll see average of 1.53. Russia 1.6. I'm really surprised. Move to the next slide. So this is about the water usage. So 50% of the people, they don't measure how much water they are using. So obviously, if they don't measure, there is no way they can be able to control the overall usage pattern and so on. So there has to be an area where the organizations has to focus on, at least start measuring and find out the way where they can be able to improve. And the 50% of the people, they are really using it, and it has been broken up. So there are major part of the organizations, they are measuring on a side to side basis of the data centers. So few are on the regional basis and few are on a portfolio basis of their data centers. Next. This is the power density trend, what we see for data center. So in 2011, we were talking about 2.4 kilowatt per rack, and in 2020, we are talking about average power density of 8.4 per rack. And this is going to increase based on usage of or adaptation of AI and ML, because most of organizations are going to use it for their business purposes. So this is the percentage share. You can be able to see, even we have 3% of the racks, which is more than 50 kilowatt per rack. And these racks are being used specifically by internet giants like Facebook or Google, because they have been using ML and AI extensively. And that needs very high power of compute and storage. So then very less 40 to 49 kilowatt, again 2%, same internet giants, even 30 to 39 kilowatt, such kind of people. But overall, for our kind of requirements, if you see organizations based or even research based, so we find the average consumption of 5 to 10 kilowatt majorly. However, there are 13% being used majorly for high compute applications like research applications, where they have been using high power density rack up to 20 kilowatt. So whenever you are sizing the data center, you need to be clear based on what is the applications which you are going to run. And based on the application, you should be able to plan for your power rack density and the design the data centers. So this is the questions where, no, go back. So this is a question which is being asked. So how the power rack density is increasing. So if you see in 2019, people were more aggressive in thinking that it is increasing very fast. But however, if you see in 2020, lesser people are thinking that it is going to increase so fast. But the major, around 53% of the people are saying yes, it is increasing, but it is increasing slowly, not so rapidly. Uh, and few people saying it is at the same time, and very few people saying it is shrinking, not increasing. But the real fact is it is increasing, but at the slow pace rather than very fast pace. Next. So this is a questions asked about hardware refresh. So if you see the overall, in 2020, we see a real increase in uh, or decrease in the frequency of hardware refreshments. Organizations are putting more pressure on the CIOs for better optimizations on the overall cost, and also organizations or CIOs are taking the right decision or adequate decisions to see the hardwares are pretty utilized since the last. So 5-year cycles are refresh cycles are more as compared to 3 years, which was last year. So last year, more people were refreshing in 3 year cycle, and this year we found the approach to change. Next. This is very critical slide, outages and resiliency, because when we build a data center, the key purpose for in making so much of investment, captive as well as operational expenditure, is to maintain the continuity or uptime of your data center, which in terms of business resiliency of your data center. However, we see some contrasts. Move to the next slide. And that's what these slides talk about. So uptime has actually divided the severity levels of the data center outages. So, and this severity level is defined based on the impact of those outages. If the impact is negligible, we'll say, category 1, severity 1. If it has got minimal impact, but it doesn't impact end customer reputation, we talk severity 2. Severity 3, we talk about disruptions, but some of the reputational impact, no commercial impact, then severity 3. And severity 4 about your commercial as well as the organizational reputation. And the 5th is the heavy impact on your commercial as well as organizational reputation. And if you see the percentage in the pie chart in the left side, and if you just combine the severe, serious, and significant, so we are talking about around 1/3 of the outages has got severe impact, or there has been business impact of the organizations by having these outages. And major part of it, that is 22, I mean 1/5 of it, there was no, they have not checked it, or they did not find if there is impact also. The measurement was not there. Move to the next slide. This is very, very important. So in 2019, people were saying 60% of people saying, yes, this incident would have been prevented. And in 2020, they realized, and that's how the overall percentage has increased. And 75% of the responded saying that we could have really avoided these outages or these impacts by doing the right thing in your data center. This is very, very important slide. Move to the next. This is about the commercial impact of the data centers. So obviously, even today, we talk about the major impact on the data center is below $100,000. So in 2019, it was 16%. In 2020, it has decreased. At the same time, if you see the higher impact, more than $1 million has increased from 10% to 16%. Similarly, 100,000 to $1 million percentages has increased. So the actual impact of outages are becoming more and more painful on a year-on-year basis. Next. So this is a very interesting slide where we talk about what are the cause of the outages and a contribution of which domain or which systems are more in the data center layers. So if you see the pie chart, you also found your cloud service provider, even they had outages, 2 and 3%. There has been service outages even there. However, the major contribution, if you see, 37% power, 13% cooling, and then you are talking about around 4% of your fire suppression. So if you add more than 50%, the outages causes are attributable to the facility itself. So it is immaterial what is the level of redundancy uh, or the high availability solutions which you have on the technology level. If the facility has got so much of issues, all those top layers are not going to make much of sense. Then it is necessary for organizations to look into this and fix the problem of this facility to control the outages in the data center. If you see the last year to 2019, the network were around one third, 27%. Now network and IT services has reduced to one fifth, and but major contribution has gone from the facility itself. Next slide. This is we are talking about availability zones. So one of in the summary slide I talked about how many organizations has got availability zones and how they are managing and where it is lying. So again, the good news is that more than 52% of the people responded saying we have availability zones with the co-located data centers. Around few of them has got availability zone on the cloud, and still around 37% of organizations they don't have availability zone. You can imagine the kind of risk they are carrying if something goes in the data center, how they will run their business. So, and these are the breakups which we have given in the know why. So we do not have liberty zones and have not actively be considered this around 14%. We have not considered it, but it is not appropriate for our workloads. There are workloads they have got, it is not considered that way. So obviously there are valid reasons for it, maybe workload compatibility or even business, we don't need that availability zone requirement. But 37% is something which is big in the world where the dependency of technology and the business is huge. Nobody talks about a business without technology. Next slide. So this is all about in form of resiliency. We most assess criticality, but not regularly. So it is not like you build a data center and you are running it and forget it. So do you have the right methodology, right process and procedures and the technology to monitor and measure the entire thing, stuff on a time to time basis so that proactively you are able to uh, mitigate the risk or minimize the impact of outages or even eliminate the outages. So here I think 48% measure people has got uh, such kind of thing in their infrastructure. Next. People problem. So I talked about staffing issues around data center, and these issues are increasing on year basis. So this is last 3 years data. So 2018 to 2020, and we are talking about that issue has touched 50% of the responded as says that we have got issues in finding the right or qualified staff for the data center. So what you should do? So typically, what we recommend people to do is train your own staff or develop that competency around it, induct more freshers into this industry because most of the people in this industries are aged population above even 30, 40, even 50 years of age. And this industry needs more fresh bloods to get trained and take over that baton from the people who are aged in this industry now. And that's how only we could be able to plug in these gaps. It is just taking people from one to other is not going to help this industry to meet the demand of the people. Next. Now this is very interesting in terms of gender balancing. So we are far away from getting the female or women employees into the data center industry, at least in the operations or the design aspect of it. The percentage of uh, the woman or the female in this particular industry is very less, and we have a huge scope of getting uh, interesting groups of people this those people in this industry and let them part of it and enhance the gender ratio of the women and the men staff in this industry. So the worst part what we see is even more than 50% they don't have plan to do so. This is a very very sorry state of affair. I think uh, the bigger organizations has to think about it to utilize our other gender part and induct them in this industry. Next. So this is a slide where we are. So they are women are at least um, kind of a none. So between 1 to 4%, we are talking about 18%. So we have got huge amount of work to do in this direction, and these people, women, can do wonders and bring a lot of optimizations and a lot of improvements in this industry. Next. So this is about AI. So when do you see AI? Is it so? This shows that there has been usage of AI, which is there. I think, and that's what we see in this pie chart also, where 34% says it is not there today, but we see some growth in next 5 years, adaptability of it, and maybe major percentage of people say not in 5 years, maybe more than 5 years it will take to fully adapt to the artificial intelligence level. Next. So this is just a sec. This particular slide is how does it help uh, data center industry in optimizing their staffing. So in COVID time, we have seen a reduction of on-site staff, and the people could able to run their data centers with the minimum on-site staff, and they face challenges in the beginning, and then it becomes procedure. Similarly, we see a major scope for technological deployment, and then because first we have to automate the data center, and then we can be able to deploy AI to achieve the real advantages or real value for it. So we are still on the automation mode, and that's what we see. This AI adaptability and the real realizing the real value maybe taking more than 5 years of time. Next. So that's complete my presentation, and I would be really uh, pleased to take questions and answers. So these are the few slides where we published a very interesting documents on how to deal with COVID-19 situation. You can be able to download. You can go to our website, and in resources tab there are a lot of materials which is available, which you can be able to use it to your advantage and bring value for your organizations. So let me go through a couple of questions. Okay. Before I conclude, let me talk about something about uptime also. So, Uptime Institute, we have already empowered and started doing our business and delivering our services remotely. That's the good news. So, almost all our services we are able to do remotely. Few of them are on hybrid, like the key TCCF and all, but maybe with a few experience, we can be able to make that also remote. And the value of uptime is around, as I said, for last 2.5 decades, we are acting as a pillar for the organizations, enable them to build a data center which is reliable and sustain the reliability across the lifespan, get the best value of their investment, whatever they have made, and get best ROI out of their investment is the key mantra, key mission for Uptime Institute. And that's how we have been able to provide our services around certifications which ensures you the reliability and performance across the lifespan, and also protect your investment and completely plug in the project leakages which normally happen in the data center. Whether you are investing the same amount of money for a data center, but you don't get the same value at the end of the project due to the project leakages, and that's completely gets plugged in. We are into the education because one of the key pillar for any projects or program is the competency of the people, competency of your partner, experience of your partner. So these education programs help enabling the people to gain that knowledge and apply that knowledge to get the experience and enhance your competency and really deliver the value for the organizations. And this is really helping the industry very well. And it has been much appreciated across the industry. Then we are talking about if you have got a data center, because what is important is it is not like there was an ad in a Hero Honda bike, fill it and start it and forget it. This is not the way you run your data center. So you have to build, operate, and you have to keep on close eye monitoring your data center so that you have visibility of the current state of the data center always, and the entire thing gets updated on a time to time basis, so that it is not like you forget it and if you go after 5 years down the line, situations may be different, and then you carry a risk of outages in your data center. So that's where this DCRA services comes into the picture, where we do a assessment of your complete infrastructure and operational program. It is a 360-degree view and bring out to the specific risk based on which you can take a decision and plug in those gaps in your facility or operational part of it and prevent such kind of abnormal incidences in your data center. It is not only we are just acting as an auditor, we are acting as an enabler also. So we have facility management operations workshop which enables you set up a mature level of operation and management program which help you sustaining the reliability and getting the ROI from your data center. So it is not only just we audit and give you a certificate or make you pass or fail, we also enable you to prepare that program and then you get audited by it. Secondly, we are not only limited to the facility. So we are data center authority across the globe, and we talk about all the layers of the data center. And as you know, in the today's world, the most of organizations has got hybrid IT environment. How do you sustain the business resiliency in the hybrid IT environment is the key. And it is not a decision which you take just by a thumb rule step kind of stuff. So there we provide advisory and enable organizations to sell through in hybrid. So you get the benefit of hybrid IT strategy. At the same time, you are able to maintain your resiliency and meet all those challenges which is thrown by hybrid IT strategy. Next. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. And Masood, if I have got some time, then I would like to take a couple of questions. So do I have time?
Yes, NK, you have a time. So yes, there is two question. You can give the answer.
So can you help me finding some questions, interesting one?
Yeah, there is a two question. One is from Asfar Adib. I think it's Adib Bhai. He's from Canada. So how is the economic impact of your current COVID crisis on data center industry?
So as far as economic crisis is concerned on the data center industry, so I would say this is a positive impact on the data center industry due to the COVID, because we see a major dependency on the technology to run a business. That's how we are having a virtual event using Zoom. So if Zoom is using so many virtual events across the globe, they need big data centers, right? So it has impacted positively on the data center industry. However, we see some delay in the projects, some delay in decision making in a couple of projects or couple of decisions in our part of the world. However, the projects which got started or they kicked off, they have already started the job, whatever this could have been done, like design phase, mastering phase, etc. A couple of projects has already started in our part of the world. Only thing is that the speed at which you wanted to deploy your data center or complete the data center, so that deployment time has increased. And I'm hopeful and confident that this particular issue is also going to go out very fast. And we are going to have the same scenario comes back to the normal in implementing the data center. In India, I have seen at least 5 or 6 big agreements being signed with the government, different state governments, by Indian and companies outside investments for data centers. So, if you ask me, impact on specific to the data center industry, it is positive and still, kicking off.
I Thanks, Adib Bhai. I think you got your answer. I think Mr. Mehdi Hassan also raised his hand. Mr. Mehdi, can you write a question in the question answer box? And Bilaj Bhai from Blackbank, he's also asking one question. I think NK, you can give this answer to him privately. Because it's a differentiation of Uptime Institute tier certification and other certification. So
No, briefly I can give it, not an issue. There is not a contradiction. So I will not say there is a difference. I would say there are multiple standards in the global industry, data center industry. So it is not only tier standard which is there. So there are tier standard, there are TIA 942, there are BICSI, there is E50600. There are multiple tier standards for data center which is available. But if you see certification, because a standard doesn't mean that your standard gets certified. For certification, you need to develop a certification process. So certification process or certifiable standards is only tiers across the globe. And if there is any other claim of certification, you can always check back with the original authority of the standard development body and check the right thing. If it is available, then you can take your decisions accordingly. That's what I can be able to comment. However, one thing I would like to add again, that tier standard certification is the only certification process in the world, including ISO, which gives you an outcome based certification where we assure you reliability and performance across the life cycle of your data center, which protects your investment, gives you peace of mind, and also gives you return on investment by using or leveraging your data center to the optimum. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If anyone have any more questions, you can ask or you can write in the Q&A box. Or you can raise your hand. Mr. Mehdi Hassan, he raised his hand. I can allow him to talk.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Mehdi, you can ask your questions. MD Mehdi Hassan, you can ask your questions.
Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. Mehdi, you are mute. Okay, I think maybe he is not interested to ask any questions. Okay, thank you very much, NK, for your nice presentation and in-depth presentation. We learned a lot of things. And yes, there was some technical issue in the morning. I think at the end you managed well. So we have a more exciting session after the lunch. As you know that this year due to virtual, we cannot send you the lunch. So please do your good lunch by yourself. And inshallah next year, you will get the double lunch. Because inshallah next year we will do the virtual summit, not virtual, physical summit if the situation is over. But we will arrange the virtual session also. Okay.
Thank you. From my side, I just would like to thank each and every one of you.
Okay, there is another question from Mizanur Rahman. Have you any survey about data center in Bangladesh regarding your presentation perspective?
Frankly speaking, no specific to the Bangladesh. We did not do any specific survey, but the Bangladesh and India market is more or less connected, and the culture and the trends we see more or less the same. So I'm considering from that perspective.
Okay. So I think there is no more questions right now. But NK, you have another 15 minutes time actually, 14 minutes time. So you can, if you want to say anything more, you can do.
I would like to say only one thing, which is also important in Bangladesh, because there are some players, they are trying to play a downplay in the industry, create confusion. And I have found a couple of people saying tier is rated to, is equal to this standard, there is no difference, and so on and so forth. I think everything is different. And you can't say NK Singh is equal to Masood. Even we are not equivalent also. Similarly, the tier standards are not equal or even equivalent to other standards. And similarly, the process of certifications and the value what you get is not comparable anywhere across what you have been getting to any other stuff if it is available. Because first thing, my question is that there is no authentic certifications apart from the tier as of now across the globe. And if somebody is claiming, you can always ask for the authorization from the respective standard development organizations. If they have, you can. If it is not, then it is just a false claim if somebody trying to misguide you. Second is why people trying to follow this tier is only because the people tier has got a value and people wants to get their benefit or they want to encash on our shoulders. So that we will never allow somebody. Second, I would like to say that Uptime Institutes has neither partnered nor outsourced our services to anybody across the globe. All the services are rendered by our own technical resources and we provide the certificate. So if somebody else you giving you a certificate and saying that this is tier and so forth, that is absolutely fake and you should be aware of. You should not accept such things. And for more clarity, you can always go back to uptimeinstitute.com, click on the tier certification. There is a list of certified data center which is posted on our website. You can search for it country wise or even customer wise. And if it is not reflecting on our website, that means that particular data center is not certified. So there are multiple ways and means to verify the claims others is doing. And this is very, very also important for the end customers who is trying to use co-location or a cloud for putting their workloads. And they must check they diligently all those stuff before you taking a decision for such kind of stuff. Uh, then tier part I talked about is another part is there are a lot of people say even if I'm not certified, I have designed my data center and built my data center edge per tier 3 or tier 4 or whatever, and they say I have got tier 3 data center. So this doesn't work. Like you are reading an engineering book doesn't mean that you get a BTech degree. So you have to pass, you have to establish that with the authorized representative that whatever you have designed, whatever you have built, whatever you are operating is in line with the requirement and you are able to successfully prove that. Then only then some certification gets attached. If somebody is saying that you are tier 3, so they must have a certificate to prove that yes, they are tier 3 data center. Otherwise, again, it is a kind of a gimmick. People try to play around with the customers. So purpose of all this is to make customers aware so that whenever they take a decision, they take an informed decision. They don't take uh, confused decision or later on they realize I did not know this. Over and above, if you have any further queries, you can always reach out to Masood or me. In fact, we have got two other of my colleagues who has joined in my region, and they will also be getting in touch with you on a time-to-time basis, and they will be working very closely. And the key purpose of getting those peoples are enhancing the proximity, our proximity to the customer, to guide them. It is not only we talk about just doing a certification and all. We are organizations we guide you through the starting phase itself. Whenever you think of building a data center or whenever you think of putting your workloads in co-locations, etc., you can always try and get our guidance and support. And for guidance and support, we don't charge. so, so don't worry about it. And we are at your service, and we will continue to support you with different webinars on the different topic. Apart from the global agenda of the webinars we conduct, we are also conducting a series of webinars for our local region because we see these requirements vary from region to region, country to country, and we are trying to fine tune those webinars to meet the mindset of the people, requirement of the people, so that they get what they are looking at rather than talking 30,000 feet above the ground level. So that is the key objective. I think two webinars we have already conducted, and you would be getting emails from our marketing and our team very soon on other webinars. Please try to spend 1 hour time and get benefited. So that's what I would like to say. And next, I would like to thank again to Masood for
NK, and there is another question. Can you briefly explain about tier certification process, just for shortly, because someone has, Mr. Khurshid Alam asked the questions. How can I design a data center infrastructure for certification of tier 3 standard? So it's a very big topic actually, but you can give him a very quick note that about TCDD, TCCF, and TCOS. Yeah, very quickly.
So, as you know, we talk about certification as outcome-based certification, and outcome-based certification cannot happen when you visit at the end of the project and give you a certificate. This way doesn't work. So our philosophy on the certification process is we call it start with end in mind. So whenever you build a data center, so you consider what end you are looking for data center in terms of the reliability requirement, in terms of life, in terms of size, scalability, etc. And then you plan. And our engagement starts in the beginning itself. So we act as a control point in the project life cycle. So we are controller to control the project leakages and ensure you the outcome. The first control point is the design. So purpose of these control points at the right stages is you are able to capture the problems at the right stage where it can be rectifiable. So if you capture the same problem at the later stage, it becomes much cumbersome and even some case not feasible to rectify those problems, and then you have to live with it. So there are three control points. First is at the design stage where we review and revalidate your design on nuts and bolts level to see that your design is 100% meets the reliability and the load criteria. No tolerance level. So you have to meet 100%. So it is an iterative process where we review your document, give you the report, explain you the gaps so that you incorporate it, resubmit back to us. Again, we give you a report. So till your documents are 100% in line. Once you get 100% in line, you get the first milestone. We call it tier certification of design documents. And your design documents are ready. You can use it for your design of your construction of the data center. Then once your construction and the commissioning of the data center is over in all respects, the second stage of control or certification comes. We call it tier certification of constructed facility. So what before our team comes to the site, we share with you detailed list of test demonstrations, and objective of the test demonstration is whatever we have designed is actually performing. So you have implemented all those stuff as per the design, and all the systems or subsystems are and integrated systems are performing to that level. And we always advise you to witness those tests for your success yourself at full load. And then you invite uptime team to be there. So they will do all those tests and witness. When you are able to demonstrate all those tests successfully, then you achieve the second milestone. As I call TCCF, and that certification overrules the design certification. And this certification is valid for lifetime. Please note, because once you build the data center, not changing it, it is valid for lifetime. Then comes the third certification. So objective of the third certification is whatever great infrastructure you build, if you don't operate and manage well, then you still carry a risk of outages. So the purpose of third certification is to see the maturity level of your operation and management program and see that your operation and management program is matured enough to sustain the same level of reliability and performance, enhance the life of your data center, use your data center asset to the maximum, and also drive a lot of operational efficiency. So with this, third certifications has got a validity because operational certifications, operations are very dynamic in nature. And the validity of this certification depends on the maturity level of your operation and management program. So there are three categories: gold, silver, and bronze. So based on in which category you fits in, so gold 3 years, silver 2 years, and bronze 1 year. And if you score less than 70, then you don't pass. You have to reattempt the entire audit again. So this is how the entire certification process works. And as I told in the beginning, our key mission for customer is to ensure that they build a data center which is reliable and they use the right operation and management program to sustain the reliability and enhance the life of your data center, maximize the utilization of their data center assets, and also drive a lot of operational efficiencies. So this is how the entire thing works, where you get protection of your investment, peace of your mind, because your data center is already tested for the worst and nothing can happen apart from that. Then global recognition is something which anybody, because if somebody says uptime certified, nobody will ask you a question and nobody will get into the detail of it. So this is how the entire thing works. And in case of any further thing, you can always reach out to us. We'll give you more broader, detailed view through a presentation or the more
Last
detailed
question for your
discussions.
session. Last question for your session. Can you please explain a little bit about ATS, AOS, and ADD certification? Mr. Abdullah Al Joha asked this question, and also the alumni associations for ATD, AOS, and ATD after course, how they will get benefited and how they will get more knowledge after the after taking the course.
Sure. Great. Thanks. You're putting the right questions to me. So Uptime conducts, there are three kind of courses available. And as I said, we are very focused on what industry needs and those things we provide. So first course, we call it ATD, Accredited Design, Accredited Tier Designer. So this course is made for the people who designs the data center. So there you are taught detailed engineering application to the tier topology and how do you design a data center on nuts and bolts level. So this is very, very well or good for the people who are actually design or construction data center. So they should, and there is a eligibility, people must have electrical or mechanical engineer or have data center experience to attend this course, because this is a very, very detailed engineering level course. It is a practical course. It is not a theoretical classroom course where, so typically you are taught how to design a data center on different levels. Second course is we call AOS, Accredited Operations Specialist. And this course is applicable to the people who are in operation and management of data centers. This course taught you or teaches you how to build a mature level of operation and management program. So all the people who are in operations of data center, they can go for this particular course. And there is a third course, we call it ATS, Accredited Tier Specialist. And this course is jack of both. I would say jack of both. So you are taught on a broader level design and the broader level operations also. Who can attend it? So most appropriate people are end customers who doesn't design themselves, who doesn't operate themselves, but their team does or third party organizations does those works for them. So if they have got knowledge on the design and operations both, it gives him much larger way, effective way to manage those resources and get the outcome from those kind more effective. And second is, it is also applicable for the people who are in sales and business development. So whenever you talk to any data center owner or data center customer, you are able to talk on the both of perspective and that line and wavelength. So that gives you a mileage of a better engagement with you and your customers. Recently, we have started a fundamental course, which you will be hearing very soon in 2021. So we are talking about fundamental of tiers, FOT, and similarly fundamental of operational technology, operational sustainability. So these are 1 day courses or 2 days remote courses. I would say these are webinars. These are not accredited courses. These are seminars where you can be able to attend and get attendance or participation certificate. This is not an accredited course, but give you much mileage in terms of giving you understanding of the different subjects. In nutshell, what I would say is ATS is jack of both. And in these two fundamental courses, we have broken ATS and we have made infra your fundamental of tiers, and then for operations part we have made fundamental operations sustainability. So this helps also the fundamental courses. Let us say somebody is ATD, his key course is design, but he can have a fundamental knowledge of operations also, which helps him, incorporating the operational aspects in the design. And similar way, AOS guy can go for fundamental of your tier operations or tiers, so that he's operation guy, but he has gained a knowledge of the design also. So this is how the overall the education programs work. And second thing, one thing very critical I would like to bring to your notice is it is not like attend the class and forget it. We are part of the CPD, continuous professional development, which enables you through going through the 3E process. As a part of 3E, education, exposure, and experience, training gives you education. And then you have to apply your knowledge wherever you are getting the exposure in your organization, gain the experience, and that's how it enhances your competency. So there are some, we always encourage people to attend advanced seminars and also use multiple projects or innovative designs, because all those points counts as a part of your accreditation program. And there is a further 2 levels. We call it ATD professional or ATD expert. You can be able to achieve those levels by attending those advanced seminars and also applying your knowledge and giving you the references. It's like PMP PDUs, where you add your experience and get points out of it, which helps you breaking the threshold for professional and expert. So from that perspective, this is yes. And one more thing, you get, if you are ATX alumni, you get 20% discount flat on the additional courses what you do as a part of this program. So I hope I have been clear.
Yes, and there is another interesting question. Mr. Tapan asked that cloud service provider encouraged to go to cloud service rather establish of data center. Which is better to choice? Sometimes we become confused.
So can you repeat the question, please, again?
Actually, cloud service provider is pushing to go to cloud rather than building own data center or enterprise data center. So you can, his question is, he's becoming confused because he will build his own data center or enterprise data center or go to the cloud. So it's a different
very,
cloud data center and enterprise data center. Benefit of
very good question, but there is no straight answer to it. So it is not like a thumb rule which you follow. We call it forces analysis. In our framework, there is a framework called forces analysis: financial, opportunity, risk, compliance, sustainability, and service quality. So these are the aspects we look at, or you should look at in your organizations, evaluate it, and then take the decisions accordingly. There is no straightforward answer that I should go for. There are a lot of organizations where their captive data center is enough, or they are doing the retrofitting the data center and meeting the requirement, not going for cloud or co-location. Similarly, there are customers who is managing their own data colocation also. So typically, you have to do a clear-cut evaluation on the business front, and then you take a decision. If further advice is required, you can reach out to me offline, and I can be able to extend some guidance on this.
Okay, actually, and we have another three panel discussion session also, where one will be moderated by NK, another one will be moderated by Otul, another one will be moderated by Vishal. So I hope that you can join all three sessions in 3 different days. Today also we have another session on data center reliability perspectives. So you can ask a lot of questions to them, and there will be a lot of panelists also from home and abroad. They can give you more in-depth answer. And if possible, you can answer them on personally also. And I got a lot of question on chat box. Actually, it is very difficult to find out the question from chat box. So if you have a question, you can ask on question and answer, not in the chat box. So NK, thank you
I
very
will
much.
just read one question. Is this training mandatory for DC infra ops? So there is a gentleman, Mr. Udin Bilas, who has asked, is this training mandatory for DC infra operations team for DC certification? So there is no mandate. We don't say that you must have this to get this. So our tier certification, you may have your partner, they are qualified or experienced. You may have yourself qualified and experienced, but you may not have the ATD and all these things available. We don't mandate, but it is always better for you because you get that knowledge and experience and competency by going through these programs and helps you doing those jobs which is required for this tier certification. So you would be more accurate, you would be more clear in the documentation, in whenever you are also structured in the way which you are doing. So the chances of you struggling during the certification process is much lesser if you are novice and if you don't know the subject. So obviously it is going to help if you are qualified enough, but it is not mandatory.
So yes,
So
we are recording the full session, and we are also on live on Facebook. So you will get the recording session also after the summit. We will upload in our
one
YouTube
thing
channel.
question I would like to take it up. How can I design a data center infrastructure for tier 3 standard? So this is something which you have to ask the ATT qualified guys. So they will tell you
Ask
what
us.
are the requirements. Which
We can help you.
Masood can be able to help you because he not only his entire team is qualified on the data center design and implementation from that perspective.
One is ask a question, how can implement our DRS? Actually, I'm not clear. I'm not.
Okay, how can we implement our DRS, so disaster recovery site?
Yes.
Disaster recovery planning is a part of business continuity plan. So every organization has got a business continuity plan, and disaster recovery plan is one part of business continuity plan. So first, you must have business continuity plan because that differs from business to business, even service to service. Every business services are not so important for you. So based on the business continuity plan, then you may require what level of disaster recovery which you need, whether you need a real time, whether you need a backup based disaster recovery, or whether you need a you know uh, uh, high level availability or reliability on multiple workloads running on the parallel part of it. So you can implement it. There are multiple solutions available, But I think very important part is, but only difference is wherever your data center is, your disaster recovery site has to be geographically located somewhere else. Because purpose of disaster recovery site is to take care of any natural disasters happen in that particular area. The other area doesn't get impacted. So you need to select a disaster recovery site accordingly and build up the technology solutions which meets your business continuity plan. In nutshell, this is what I can be able to tell you. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask the questions. I think Mahatajul Islam. So, can you get the sample checklist standard regarding data center tier 3 or tier 4, please? Yes, you can collect the, you can download the tier topology standard. There is no list.
As I said, this tier standard or the tier certification is a not checklist based certification.
Yes.
This is outcome based certification. So there is no standard checklist which works for tier certification. So because each and every data center is different, each and every solutions can be different, and there is no single stick which can move around. However, your business objective, the reliability objectives, all those objectives are the constant based on business to business. So tier certification, one thing I would like to say, there is no standard checklist available. However, there are requirements which is listed very clearly in our tier standard document and operational sustainability standard document. You can always go to our website, uptimeinstitute.com, click on resources tab and the tier specification. These two documents you can be able to download by just giving you your contact informations, and that will give you a clarity in terms of tier requirements as well as operation sustainability requirements. Any further questions or clarity, you can reach out to us. We will support you.
Yes, thank you very much, MK. So, because we have another session at 3 o'clock, you know, if we don't conclude this session right now, then they cannot go for lunch. Then,
Right.
you know, so
Thank you very much.
Yeah.